We have a candidate for for U.S. Congressional District 3. Yay, yay, yay. Eunice?
Hey, y'all want to stand up for a minute? Why don't you stand up? And I'll start with a song. This is from the Singing Resistance in Minneapolis. You repeat after me. Stand up if you can. Who's got the power? Who's got the power? We've got the power. We've got the power. Who's got the power? Who's got the power? We've got the power. We've got the power. What do we do when? What do we do when? We've got the power. We've got the power. We take care of each other. Yes, we do. We take care of each other. Yes, we do. All right, thank you. You can stretch, get some more breakfast, sit down. I'm going to talk for a few minutes and then take some questions. But thanks for singing with me. I'm very inspired by the people of Minneapolis resisting ICE, and there's more songs like that if you'd like to learn some. So, my name is Eunice Lehmacher. Thank you for the invitation. I'm in Clemson, where I live, where I've lived since 2002. And my pronouns that I'm using are we, us, and ours. We. When I grew up, I was in the parsonage where my dad was the pastor, and people came knocking, right? And they're asking for, can you help me pay the utilities? And you know what my parents did? They said, come in, have dinner with us. Now, let me tell you, when I was in third grade and it was mac and cheese, which is still my favorite food, I don't think I was too happy about that. But boy, plus they got to talk about their stories and I didn't get to be the center of attention, right? Boy, did I learn about we. My parents taught me that we all matter. No matter what you smell like, what you look like, we all matter. I'm not sure our government knows that at the moment. I've been taking those values and putting them into my professional practice for 4 decades now. I started out as a high school teacher. I was a librarian. I worked in a church for about 7 years as an educator, and the last several decades I've been a social worker, so medical social worker at a Coney Memorial. I've had my own private practice as a psychotherapist, and I'm still doing psychotherapy for Included Health now. Part of what I've done with all those professions, you probably know this, folks walk into the library that are homeless or a church or certainly in my practice now, and they need help with some real basic things like how do I get food and health care. And through all that work, I've discovered the problem isn't just us that are helping them. The problem is actually the government. There are too many blocks that are put in place that make it hard to get things done, to get food, a place to live. And that's why I'm running for office, because I'm not okay with that. I thought it was very helpful what we learned about elections. And yeah, we've elected some people that are not taking care of us. And I believe that we've got to take care of us. So we, us, and our. You know, this is a 2-year term, and our future matters to me. I'm not just running for you, although I am running for you. And by the way, I'm going to be coming here into every county in the 11 districts and having town halls. Remember when we used to have those? I believe that's a job. My job is to listen to you, not just do whatever I want. So I'm going to be doing that. But you know who else I care about is the people that are going to live here in 7 generations. And those trees outside and the bees, right? I care about our world and our future, not just my next 2 years and how I'm going to get elected then. So I care about we, us, and our. My opponent and the incumbent is Representative Sherry Biggs, and here's what I think her pronouns are. He, whatever the president said, that's what I'll do. Me, how can I benefit from this office? And them, there's a problem. Who can I blame that on? We don't need this kind of us and them thinking. We don't need he, them, and me. We need we, us, and our. So if you'd like to see different leadership, we heard just before that 10 to 15%. You know, people say about South Carolina, it's a red state. I'm not sure that's the case. I think that might be a state that doesn't vote. When he was talking about the percentages, about half the people voted in the presidential election, that's half the people who registered to vote. If you were to take a look at the number of people who live in Greenwood County, how many of them vote, it's abysmally small. So our job here is to get people to vote and register to vote and tell them why it's so important. And if they haven't noticed that now, I hope they've noticed it in 2025 at 6. But if they haven't, now's the time to pay attention. Now, I understand that not everybody can run for office. I get that. It does take time and energy. But I'm pretty sure that everybody here can help somebody that's running for office. And of course, I'm going to ask you to help me. But there's lots of other people running. So apply this to the other good people running for office. Probably all of you here could skip something like a coffee and give $5 to a candidate. Some of you can give $1,000. The limit for mine is, by the way, $3,500. If anybody's got a check, we'll be happy to take it. But I don't have any Elon Musks in my friend groups, and therefore I'm taking the $20 from everybody so that there's enough money. Just to file for office for me, it was over $3,000. The U.S. senators had to pay $10,000 just to get our names on the ballot, and that's just the start, right? So it does cost money, and I'm not a billionaire. My friends are not billionaires, so I need your help with money. But I know times are tough, and you all can't help with money. So there's other things you can do. My assistant, Erin, is back there at the table, and there's a sign-up sheet where you can sign up to get a T-shirt and be a walking billboard. She's wearing one. We've got some right now, so you can buy one today. They're $20. There's signs that I'm giving away today, but you can buy my new signs that are coming out in a week or so, and there's a place for that. You can sign up to write postcards for me. You can just give Erin a statement of why you're voting for me and take a picture with me, or better still, make a video of why, and then we'll use that on social media. I would love to have down here somewhere a house party or at a restaurant. You get together, several of your friends, I come to your house, do something like this, but then answer questions. I want to meet people who maybe haven't voted before, or who haven't understood why it's important to vote, and explain to them why that's important. So I want to do some of that one-on-one meeting people. And of course, there's the usual volunteering, canvassing, phone calling, all that. So there's a list as well as a QR code back there where you can sign up to volunteer. So I know you're here and you want change. That's why you're here. But I'm asking you to do more than that. Do more than come to the Democratic Party. And yes, give the Democratic Party your money too. But do more than that this year. We have got to turn this country around. And it is so exciting. Thank you. That for every federal and state office, there's a Democrat running. That is a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure people like Alan and others worked on calling people and asking them. I know I called about 30 people in the last couple of weeks and asked them to run for an office. So that's already a lot of work, but that's the beginning, okay? It's the beginning. Now we've all got to work, just as Alan and others said. You've got to talk to your acquaintances. Erin also has my business cards back there. Put a bunch of those in your wallet, especially if you buy a shirt, and when people say, "Who's that?" say, "Here, I met her. She'd be great. She works in healthcare. She's going to try to let me give you some things that I'm going to try to do. Make healthcare more available, especially in rural areas." We had our government recently, I keep calling this the big billionaire benefits bill. They have a different name I can't use. That big billionaire benefits bill took away funding for people like me, healthcare providers, because it cut Medicaid. That means there'll be less healthcare in your area, right? So I'm certainly going to vote to restore that funding. But I also want to vote to drop the Medicare eligibility age to 64 next year, then 63, and so on. Let's be like every other country in the world that gives healthcare to everybody. It saves us money. The other thing I really want to work on right away in my first month is these energy prices. I know you're noticing that. Somewhat obviously, we got to stop this war. And I believe the Congress should take its first article powers and do something when we have a president when we have a president who's not just breaking his oath to the Constitution, but he's breaking our laws and he's breaking international law. So we got to stop that. That's going to help with our energy prices. But I think we also should be offering, those credits for renewables. There's, to get those back and expand them, in Australia, they are going to be giving away 3 hours of power a day because they've just got so many renewables. Don't have enough battery for it. Isn't that a problem you'd like to have? We could have that problem instead of the problem we have right now. But our federal policy took away those grants. I'm going to restore those. Again, for our future, we don't want the energy prices low now. We want them low in 30 years. Renewables is the way to get there. And then the last thing, and I know you'll like this, is I want to impeach Trump and quite a few other people. You know, there's another party that talks about law and order, and they're doing quite the opposite. They talk about government overreach, and they're overreaching all the time with ICE and everything else. Do you know they're putting people in detention more than ever before at the cost of $167 a day per person? And they're detaining more people than that, and then they say they can't pay SNAP benefits? No. So we have the chance this year to change the Congress. How are we going to do that? By each of us doing something. It's too late to run for office, but it's not too late to find someone you love who's running for office and do something for them, even if all it is you talk to 3 people when you leave here today. I would love to take questions, though, if there's time. Is there time, Alan? Who's got a question? I love questions. Please ask something. I haven't talked about very much yet, policies and things, and I know y'all are smart people. Of course, Bill has a question. We knew that.
Well, just to get you warmed up.
Thanks.
Congratulations on filing. I know
Thank
that's
you.
a big deal.
It is.
Is there a primary election for you ahead of time, or are you straight to the general election in November?
I appreciate that question, and yes, there is a primary. There are 2 Democrats running. So in some ways, that's really great because I'll be on the ballot in the primary, so people will see that, and that'll garner some attention. Yeah. By the way, if you'd like to host a forum between the 2 of us here, I'd be happy to come. That's another thing our representatives don't do. They don't come to debates or forums unless they're with each other. And, you know, what about Sherry Biggs and my opponent and I all get together and we all talk about the issues you care about?
So with your goal of making healthcare more available, we don't have the resources to do that. So what's your plan to kind of grow those resources, and then when you think about increasing access to healthcare, what are your priorities for South Carolina?
Great question. So I'm a healthcare provider, and I think you can tell that there are not healthcare providers in office because we have such a crappy healthcare system. So that's the first thing I suggest is you vote for people that are healthcare providers. One of the things that we didn't do in South Carolina is take the Medicaid expansion, and we won't even talk about that. That's not what I'd be voting for. But one can expand Medicaid other ways without spending a cent of tax dollars, and I know that because I'm a healthcare provider, right? I won't go into all the nitpickiness of that, but I'm a mental health provider. Many providers don't want to take Medicaid because the requirements are so high. Medicaid, which pays fairly well, I provide Medicaid services, has more paperwork requirements. And because Medicaid and Medicare have branched out and have contractors now, there's 8 kinds of Medicaid and Medicare, and they each have different requirements. You could make, by federal law, some of that easier and make the audits less harmful. I have a friend who's a therapist who got audited and they wanted to take away whatever $6,000 of money she had already paid to the therapist that worked for her. And it was because of dumb things like she signed in the wrong place. Those requirements were made by companies that are now contractors. So in Medicare, that's Medicare Advantage, that are trying to make money. So they make requirements for us that gets to take our money away. So then people like me don't want to provide that. That's also true of doctors. So you say there aren't enough providers, but there also aren't enough providers that take Medicare and Medicaid because the requirements are so bad. So changing the laws doesn't cost any money, makes it more likely that we want to serve you. And I think that's a simple thing that if you had providers in office, you could do that. I also think you need to incentivize. So there are some really, you're probably aware that South Carolina has some of the worst numbers for Black pregnant women in terms of fatalities. But in the Orangeburg area, there's a really phenomenal program that's seeing both the women and the men before and after the pregnancy, and they're seeing those numbers really improved. And so I want to take as a federal idea to recognize a program like that and then give it grants so it can spread. It only serves a few counties, but Family Solutions is what it's called. But let's have the federal government recognize programs that are making a difference in those key areas so that our Black women are living through childbirth, yay. And let's spread that. So let's take successes and make more successes. First by recognition, which costs no money. And secondly, by giving grants to those organizations to expand their services. So that's only two answers. But I also think that we need to drop the eligibility rate for Medicare, or I don't know if any of you have heard Annie Andrews, she's talked about making Medikids. Everybody under 18 gets Medikids. I think that's a great way to save money. All kids get their vaccinations, their child care, health care, and then they don't get diseases, and they live longer, and it's cheaper. It costs money up front, but since half of Medicaid services is already children, we'd just be moving them from Medicaid to Medikids. Then we take all the other children. And then our parents wouldn't have to be afraid to quit their job because their sick kid wouldn't have insurance anymore, right? I mean, so I have tons of ideas by being a healthcare provider in this field for decades, and I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one about it, but there's a number of things we could do. I like to walk around, but there's this camera, so I'm staying back here. And this is a beautiful backdrop. I feel like a match.
I like what you have to say about the health care, and I believe you, Ms. Biggs claims she has experience in health care, and she's nowhere near as expansive and has good ideas in that field. So I'm really glad you're stepping up with that. But my question is, again, what magic do you have to share with us so when we talk to those people that say my vote doesn't count, or my grandson said to me, and he's a voter this year, government's never done anything for me.
Good question. I want to just go back to Sherry Biggs, nurse practitioner, and she cut Medicaid. Like, if somebody's voting for her, that makes no sense, right? She's not keeping her oath to the Constitution or her profession. Yeah, so what magic do I have? I have a little bit of magic, but mostly it's your relationship. And I think maybe the first question for your grandson or people like that is, how's that working out for you? You didn't vote, and Trump got to be president. I'm finding it hard to pay for the gas. How about you? I mean, it's a pretty direct result of voting for Trump that our gas prices and, in general, inflation went up, right? We can see that. So the one piece of magic I would say is don't talk data and facts. First of all, you don't have to go to the dyed-in-the-wool MAGA Republicans. Just let's forget them, right? I'm talking about everybody else, the people who are starting to be upset about the economy, the people who don't vote, the people who say what you said, why should I vote? It's never made a difference. Talk to those people. By using facts and data, you'll get the really resistant people to dig in their heels more. We actually have sociological research on this. I'm very interested in the environment, and if you give people facts about the rising temperatures or whatever, they're more likely to resist it. So the thing to do is to work on values, right? So to talk with your people about values. So if you can go home and say, I met a candidate who actually cares about us and doesn't want to make another them to blame things on, and it seems to me the people in charge just want to blame people that look like you. And I'm tired of being blamed for everything. Now, that you could say to a Hispanic person, right, who's getting blamed right now. To white people, what do you say to white people? You just want to shake them and say, are you paying attention? But Yeah, actually. I mean, I wish that we could let only black women vote in this election, honestly. And then we would have what we want for a government, or only people under 30 vote, right? But of course, we're not going to do that. We want everybody to vote. But I think we have to say, how's that working out for you? So should the white people. You voted for Trump or you didn't vote. The people who didn't vote. And look what's happened. Are you happy about what's happening in Iraq or Gaza or Ukraine? I mean, one of my big concerns right now is we have been working for years to get Iran by doing sanctions. And we've been doing sanctions on Russia to stop what they are doing that's bad. And now Trump's started Trump's war, and we dropped some sanctions on Russia and Iran. By having a war, they've gotten what they wanted. We are helping Russia and Iran right now to sell their gas, for example. So how's that working out for you that your tax dollars are helping to raise your prices and they're not tackling your problems? And do you feel like not voting is working out well for you? And if they say yes, then follow that thread. Well, why do you think that's working out well for you? I find it's not working out well for my friend who has cancer and they cut the funding for cancer research. Or there's more unrest in the world because we've cut the funding to, all the stuff that USAID did in the world. So there's more people wanting to come to the U.S. because they can't get food where they live in South America. So that's the only thing I can suggest. But the magic is related to your relationship with them and the shared values you have and not the facts. By that, I am not saying facts are bad. Facts are super important, but facts are not going to change anybody's mind, is my opinion. And I'm a therapist.
Hey, I was just wondering about what your views would be with the talking about scapegoats. I don't know why it's sounding so.
Uh-huh.
Okay, about scapegoats for, like, say,
Okay.
well, Hispanic,
Right.
but mainly I'm worried about LGBTQ.
Yeah. And trans people were scapegoating big time. Yeah.
And a lot of people have seemed, that were Democrat, have seemed to turn on them, wanting to blame them for losing it. They're radicals, we don't, that's far left. We have to go center. Do you plan on defending, LGBTQ?
Absolutely, yes. Everybody matters, regardless of who you love. And love is good and hate is bad, right? Love triumphs over hate. So if there's love in the world, if you're a gay couple and you want to adopt a child, wonderful. However, I am not going around, when I go out in the neighborhood, I'm doing it here, but I'm not going around saying, hi, I'm Eunice, I'm a Democrat. Because you all know Democrat's a bad word in South Carolina, right? So I'm going out and saying, I'm Eunice, and I'm saying, what are you concerned about? And they're saying health care or whatever. We have some good sociological research also on LGBT and canvassing with that, and it's through stories, right? So I can tell the story of my son who grew up with a young woman who used to be a young man, and they were best friends, and she's still my neighbor. And she is facing a lot of discrimination and is super depressed right now. And I know her very well because she essentially grew up in my house, right? So I can tell that story. She's so depressed and scared, she's afraid to leave her house in her 20s. Now, I'm not sure that's a story that's going to convert people, but again, it's not by the statistics, and it's not by using labels and scapegoating. One of the reasons we got marriage equity is because so many people know somebody who's gay now, because gay people are willing to talk about it. On my street where my children grew up, they're in their 20s, there are 3 women who used to be boys that grew up with my kids. And when they got to, one of them, it was like 4th grade, she started wearing dresses, and it was no problem. The kids were okay with that. And I mean, that was fine with our children. So I think we've got to get there in our generation. And fortunately, we've met people like that. But the people who are afraid of Democrats, so when I ran for State House a couple of years ago, one of my neighbors stopped me because she'd gotten a card in the mail from my opponent and said, Eunice, are you trying to put men into girls' sports? Is that your platform? which it is not. It was what my opponent said. I said, no, I'm not trying to do that. But that's that fear, right? Because she has a daughter and she doesn't want boys competing against her daughter. So I just talk about, I think that we should treat everybody equally. And so you need to know I'm a Democrat. I stand for all those values. But when you're going out into the community, maybe you want to say, Eunice, I met her. She cares. And she's met people, and, you know, if you have a story to tell. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just, I think you're right. And those stories.
Stories change minds.
Because these people are living in such fear, and even with just the bathroom laws.
Yeah.
I mean, trans women are at high risk of being assaulted.
Oh, my goodness.
If they're being forced to go in a men's bathroom.
Well, it's the population with the highest suicide rate. Yeah. Well, and if you're not paying attention, please go vote for those state house and Senate people. Our state is going to pass a bathroom bill quite similar to the one in North Carolina that was so bad for North Carolina. I mean,
It's horrible.
No brains here, right? Our representatives who watched how it hurt the economy in North Carolina are passing the same thing. It's not exactly the same. Look it up. And of course, you know what our governor will do. So you can change the governor. You can change the representatives. We have a super majority in the state and the House. If we could just get it down to a majority, right?
I mean, calling people terrorists,
Yeah.
that our president,
Yeah.
our representatives.
Name calling.
Calling when anything happens,
Yeah.
they want to, it's just, I'm sorry.
I was at a forum by the League of Women Voters recently with young people leading it, how to get out the young vote, and what they said as a number one thing is we've got to stop all that name calling. When they turn on the news, it's just rude, and politicians are rude, and all politicians use, and I was like, well, not all of them. The ones we elected, yes. So we've got to change people that aren't name calling, and that I'm willing to love Republicans, by the way. And no matter who you vote for, I'm willing to help them, right? And so we've got to elect people like that. It looks like we might be out of time.
Yep, we're good. Yep.
I'm happy to take more questions. I don't have a watch, but I really appreciate y'all coming. And before you leave, I see some people leaving. Stop by Aaron and pick up a few business cards, get a shirt, sign up to volunteer. Put those business cards in your wallet. I will be at the fish fry. Can you bring somebody with you to the fish fry who thinks there's no point in voting, and tell them they can not just meet me, but a whole ton of candidates, right? And not just hear me from the podium, but I'll be walking around and you can talk to me one-on-one, and they can say, what about my sister who has breast cancer and can't get the funding? And I can answer that one-on-one, right? So tell them to come to this social occasion. Let's have, I mean, I know it's a fundraiser and I appreciate that. Maybe you have to buy them a ticket, but let's get folks here and engaging with politicians and seeing that there are some politicians that use we, us, and our, not he, me, and them. And there are politicians who care about results and not chaos. And on the back of my shirt, it says, for the many, not the money. So I hope you'll bring folks for me to meet.
Okay. So the number one problem Eunice is going to have is getting her name out. And that's where we can all make a difference. She's going to be running in district up and down these 11 counties that are in her district, and she's looking for assemblies. So if you're having a kickback for a holiday or something like that, and you can gather a group of people, get in touch with her campaign, and give her an opportunity to be introduced to those folks. Yes. Hold on. The reason we have to, no. The reason we have to have the mic, we record all of our sessions. And the people that are going to be watching the recordings need to hear what you have to say.
I'm Jerry Goldman. I'm from McCormick County. And I know on the 18th of April, you're having a get-together here at 11 o'clock for Jermaine Johnson and Jameel Brooks. We are also having an outdoor event with a lot more candidates, and they're going to be supplying food, plates, to raise money for candidates. So any other candidates, Eunice, who would like to come to McCormick on the 18th of April, I can send you a flyer, and anybody here who's not going to be available at 11 o'clock can come at 1 o'clock to McCormick County.
All right. So make sure you get with her one-on-one and get her that information that she needs.